to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, kind people, what is going on? Lee Sanders with you all. Are you like me right now? Are you a little bit tired? We had ourselves a long day. But I tell you what, as tired as I am, the wrestling fan that's in me, I love this time of the year. Like, let's be honest, it really only comes WrestleMania time, right? Because there's so many things that's going on and everything. But man, if this is going to be the start of a new tradition yearly, oh my God, are we in for a fun ride? Sometimes a little bumpy as well. I hope you all's weekend is off to a really good start. I appreciate those of you that, honestly, if you had spent all day, pretty much beginning at 1 p.m., checking out all the wrestling action, mainly from AEW and WWE, and you decided you wanted to maybe poke your head in this time while I'm live, I appreciate you. For those of you that's maybe going to be checking this out for sure on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast, much love as always. I'm going to have an interesting time putting this show together for our audio listeners. I definitely am going to have to put some bumpers and sweepers for some really good transitioning. This is, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to try. We are doing 3 shows in one. We've never done, let me tell you something. We've been doing this since 2011. We've never covered this many shows in one show. So this is going to be a fun challenge. I do love me a fun challenge, though. We're going to be talking NXT's Great American Bash. We'll also be talking about AEW All In Texas. Of course, we're going to be talking about WWE Saturday night's main event. And one more time, we will preview the upcoming Sunday night Evolution premium live event. That's pretty much going to be putting a nice, pretty little ribbon on all the wrestling action that we've been getting this weekend. So buckle on up, man. I hope you guys have been enjoying yourselves so far and everything. So look, first things first. And I think the way that we should do this so that it's not a long, drawn-out show and it ends up being a case where, oh, my God, 3 hours later, oh, yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's try to see what we can do. I would say, what do you think is a good goal, guys? Maybe like 90 minutes or less to cover 3 shows? I think that is more than fair, yeah? All right, so on that note, this is your official post-show. Let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about, since it's minutes removed from NBC, let's talk about Saturday night's main event. And what a lackluster main event it was. You kind of see what I did there. If not, let me explain further. So, Bill Goldberg, Gunther, and the way that this was built up, especially with some of the teases that was done by WWE, in particular, the sit-down interview that Michael Cole did with Bill Goldberg, where the question was asked, what if you win the World Heavyweight Championship? What happens? And Bill Goldberg, yeah, that is a very interesting dilemma, isn't it? Yeah, I guess we'll have to go to that match and find out. And so you're going, woo, woo. And as I had said here some weeks back, when the rumblings were kicking in there that Goldberg possibly one more match, things are finalized with the WWE and all that, I'm going, well, I honestly don't expect for Bill Goldberg to be ready by the Saudi shows. I just didn't think it was going to be possible at all. And instead, I jumped out there and said, well, maybe something could happen as early as SummerSlam. And if you are going to be doing something with Bill Goldberg, it makes all the sense in the world that SummerSlam, one last match, there you go. Take your bow. That's your final curtain. There you go. What a great way to go out. Then we hear the rumblings that no, no, no. Looks like Bill Goldberg is going to be coming back much sooner than that. And then we find out Saturday night's main event. Now, I was definitely the first, if not among the first, but definitely the first to put the idea out there. Well, in regards to Goldberg, why not have this guy go into Saturday night's main event, win the World Heavyweight Championship off of Gunther, go into SummerSlam, maybe try to do some type of a retain. And honestly, if you want to have Seth Rollins cash in that briefcase on him, let it be a mugging with Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. Like, you just want to just maul the hell out of Bill Goldberg, right? Really, really make it be impactful. Definitely make it be a way where you're paying it forward. Okay, what better way to go out then on that note? But at least you're making a decent amount of money in the progress. And at the same time, you're helping elevate this current faction that you got going on there with Rollins, this new dangerous alliance that I like to refer to it as. So I put some very interesting ideas out there, and I said, this main event match for Saturday night, like this should be interesting here. If you would have told me that this was going to be a wet fart, I would say to you, no, no, seriously, no. Like I legit would be shocked. But then when I really take a step back and I think about it a little bit more, I have been saying to you guys how, man, yeah, WWE might be selling out these shows. They might be on fire right now. But creatively, it just feels like there's nothing there, with the exception of maybe one or two angles. Like everything else is just so hollow. And the way Bill Goldberg was done tonight is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Now, granted, I do see, because I put some very choice words out there on social media. I had said, and I'll read to you exactly what I had said on social media, and it's been picking up a little bit of steam here. I said, you bring Bill Goldberg back just for that? No proper send off at SummerSlam? Some of the laziest booking in WWE I've seen to date, on top of all the other stuff that's been amiss creatively in this company. Freaking joke. And this is coming from a pretty neutral Goldberg fan. And what I mean by neutral, I have been here on this show many times over the years. I have put down a bad Bill Goldberg performance. If I felt that what he brought in the ring was crap, I've said my piece on it. I have said my piece on it. When he's done some pretty good stuff, I've praised him. My point tonight, the match against Gunther, I actually thought it was a solid match. I enjoyed it. I love the way that it was laid out. The bell rings. You got both men selling that aura, selling that buzz in that Atlanta venue in front of that crowd. The crowd is eating it up. They're getting lost in the moment. And then when they finally start locking up, you got Goldberg just strong arming the hell out of Gunther, pushing him to his ass a couple of times. Oh, I loved it. I'm going, okay. All right, we're off to a really good start. This is how you want to continue to do it. Then you've got Gunther following up with a couple of chops. Goldberg kind of brushing his chest, laughing it off. Gunther keeps on with the chops, but Goldberg's not phased. Gunther bounces off the ropes, trying to go for a clothesline, a little shoulder clothesline tackle there. Goldberg no sells it, but then when he comes off the ropes, does his own tackle, knocks Gunther on his ass. I was eating this stuff up. It was good. Little bit of a flaw very early on in Gunther's game, I felt, and I know that this was by design, but it might have been just a tiny little bit of a mistake to a certain degree. Some could make the argument, but I would say no. The way that you had this set up off the break, playing the ground game here, the ground striking game, I was fine with the way that tone was set early on. Gunther thought he was going to be able to just go in there just off of sheer striking, and that was going to be enough to. And I love how Goldberg was no selling that stuff. It was good. It was definitely good. Especially loved it there where Bill Goldberg felt he had a spear that he was getting ready to dial up. Gunther rolls out of the ring. It was then at that moment did Gunther go, okay, you know what? Me going toe to toe with this guy, because that basically was the first several minutes of this match, was Gunther trying to go toe to toe with Goldberg, which big mistake. And when you really take a step back and you think about the Gunther character, you're going, yeah, well, he's not exactly a powerhouse, is he? Is that Gunther? So when we saw Gunther roll out of the ring, I don't know if you all had got the same impression. Sound off, please, and let me know. But when I saw him get out of the ring, I'm going, this is where things are going to shift. And sure enough, it did. Yeah, sure. Might have been a couple of strikes in there by Gunther, Goldberg. You know, he kind of sold him a little bit, but for the most part, Goldberg was dominating during that first half until he tried to go for a spear. Gunther moves out the way in time. Bam. Goldberg runs into the barricades. That pretty much takes us into a commercial break where we pretty much find out during the commercial break, Gunther went on the offense. Mainly was focusing on a braced up, padded up knee. Goldberg was pushing. Big old bullseye. And I love the little touch by the commentary team where they said, you know, surprised that Gunther didn't go for that knee early on, like off the break. Like it just, what's going on there, right? So I love that little touch. But you know, the more and more that I was listening to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, no Pat McAfee, for those of you that were a little bit curious, no Pat McAfee. Looks like, I don't know if the reports are true, but we'll talk more about it on Monday. But reports are floating around that Pat McAfee is going to be on a much extended break. Possible we won't see this guy until early 2026. So have that in the back burner. We'll revisit that on Monday's post show after Raw on Netflix is off the air. So the way this match was set up, like I loved it. I thought everything was laid out. I loved Bill Goldberg's pacing. For you old school Bill Goldberg fans, or maybe fans that remember some of the last couple of matches of Goldberg's, and you were like, this leaves nothing to be desired to watch. You know, what the hell? No, he went into this match. Man, I think this match might have been about 8 minutes. I'd be shocked to hear if it was 9 minutes. But Goldberg put in a decent amount of offense, did a decent amount of bumping for Gunther as well. So I was quite impressed. He did not look bad by any stretch. I was actually watching this with the family, and you know, I said, man, look at this guy. And I had to put my glasses on because the TV was a little bit far away. It's a smaller TV that we got in the living room. I had to put my glasses on. I'm like, wow, look at this guy's body. Like, this guy's about to hit 60. Like, talk about motivation. Like, look at this guy. This is fantastic. So, you know, for those thinking maybe there was going to be some type of a interference game, that did not happen in this matchup. And you would have thought it was going to happen because earlier in the night we had I don't want to say unfortunate, but it definitely came off like a scary situation involving Seth Rollins. And I agree with a lot of people of the footage, which is okay, I see what happened, but then I don't see. That sounds very confusing, right? So we'll talk more about Seth Rollins and everything, but I just want to plant those seeds because a lot of chatter was starting to build up online where people felt, okay, we're being swerved here because remember what happened with Seth Rollins earlier? He's likely going to come out, cash in that money in the bank briefcase, and somehow it's either going to become a triple threat or Goldberg wins and Seth Rollins comes out. Bronson Reed, Breaker, they mess him up, get the championship that way. Seth rocks out as your new World Heavyweight Champion. None of that happened. None of that happened. How did this match end? Well, look, not for nothing, but Goldberg was able to get in there a spear. Although that spear pretty much had came after the referee Nick Patrick got caught up in the crosshairs there for a bit. We had Gunther going in with some dirty tactics. If I'm not mistaken, there was a low blow he did to Goldberg. You're thinking, here we go. The screws are being put in. This is pretty much it for Goldberg. Like, stick a fork in it. This is done. Goldberg somehow, like, he continues on. He manages to hit a spear. He manages to hit a jackhammer. We get another referee that comes in there. Gunther kicks out. You're like, damn. Match pretty much continues afterwards. Boy, you want to talk about oh man, this really could go either way. This was one of those matches where you're going, no, 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 you know what? This really can go either way. And then you're thinking about the booking in the past when it's come to Bill Goldberg, and you're like, wouldn't put it back. Like, you're automatically thinking about Bray Wyatt, and you're going, yeah, we saw what happened there. Anything can happen here, okay? But it ends with Bill Goldberg put into a sleeper hold, Gunther making Goldberg tap out. I thought for sure the match was going to keep going. You know, I did not anticipate Goldberg tapping out. But that's exactly what happened. Bill Goldberg tapped out. Now, I'll give WWE credit the way it was kind of laid out a little bit. It wasn't a automatic tap, but it was one of those type of tap outs where it really should have been dragged out. And this is where I feel that 2 hours, more specifically 2 hour programming on NBC, it is manageable, but it really depends on what time you're putting that main event match out there. And I really feel that in retrospect, you know, all things considered, looking at the final match card, because remember, as we were going into Evolution Weekend, remember, in case you're not aware, I put out on social media, yo, there's no women's match that's on here, but hopefully we'll get a nod to a women's segment. And we did get a women's segment, which we'll talk about in a quick second. I'm seeing the official bell time was 14 minutes, 20 seconds for Gunther defeating Goldberg. But I feel it was way less than that. Now, maybe if you want to put the entrances in there, possibly, but you know, it honestly kind of felt like we were looking at about an 8. Again, I'd be shocked if it was actually a 9-minute match. But yeah, Bill Goldberg taps out. Wish it could have been a little bit more defiant. Wish it could have been a little bit more. But when you really stop and think about it, this match came on at about the 9:30, 9:35 mark. They took a commercial break. Then they came back, make sure they did the proper introduction. So at this point, you're pretty much you're almost pushing 9:40, right? When you're pretty much setting yourself up to do your last set of commercials, right? So I really wasn't a fan of that whatsoever. Bill Goldberg surrounded by let's talk about the abrupt commercial that came at the conclusion of that match, by the way. we had one of the most abrupt freaking commercials that I have seen since I have been watching TV since I was a little boy. I'm going, well, damn, I guess they didn't have time to put up the credits, the little 2025 copyright WWE logo. Well, all right, I guess that's it. We're good. All right, well, good night. That was fun. And something just said, keep it on this channel. Just keep it on this channel. Because I'm looking at my watch and it's, I think, 9:55, 9:56. And I'm going, what a odd placement for a damn commercial. Like this is so, like, what's going on here? Like, the show's over? I kept it on. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people just changed the channel. Like, you immediately, like, okay, well, that was good. Nice. We come back at like the 9:58, almost going on 9:59 p.m. Eastern mark. And when we see Goldberg is back in the ring, surrounded by loved ones, as he says to the Atlanta crowd, he apologizes for not coming away with a W because all his most memorable moments, his W's, all came from Atlanta. He wasn't trying to end things on a defeat, but he tells them how he loves them, appreciates everybody, and that's pretty much it. And you can see Michael Cole essentially trying to count down Bill Goldberg, as at that point they got enough time to put up the executive producer credits, put up the little logo, boom, we got to go promptly to our next show. So just, it's crap like this I look at with WWE, and just the way the whole Bill Goldberg situation was handled. Some of the people that's reacting to what I had said on social media, they say, well, not for nothing, maybe Bill Goldberg just wanted it to be Atlanta and nothing else. Maybe he honestly just wasn't interested in the SummerSlam payday. Maybe he just legit, why not let it be a full circle moment, and let it end in Atlanta. I hear that, and it would be very curious to hear. And Bill Goldberg is very outspoken when it comes to him in interviews, whoever he grants. I would really love to know, what was your thought process here? Was SummerSlam ever talked about? Did you consider SummerSlam, or was this a case where no, SummerSlam was not mentioned at all, and it was just, you're gonna do Saturday night's main event. That's it. It felt very, and I don't mean this as a insult. I mean this as constructive criticism. Anybody that checked out my reviews for some of the AEW shows over on the 4-1 Mania site over the years, I always try to do a good balance in being very neutral with some of my observations. But the way WWE had did this tonight with Goldberg, it felt very Tony Khan-ish. Like, okay, well, so what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do to, like, get an extra 5,000 viewers this week? Well, what if we had Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin? But we really need to put that on a pay-per-view. Yeah. But let's just go ahead. Let's just blow the load on this. Let's just do it over here. Okay, but then what are we going to do next week? We'll figure it out as it gets closer. That's how this felt. It really wasn't that good of a payoff. I don't mean to go on and on and on. That's about as much in depth as you're going to get from me in regards to main event in general, because that really was the whole meat and potatoes there. Shout out to the A-Man, who says he wanted to retire in Atlanta, but I hope WWE releases his retirement speech. Yeah, it kind of seemed like his speech really did get interrupted, didn't it? It seemed like there was a lot more there that Goldberg was trying to say. Honestly, I hope that WWE maybe gives him a proper segment on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Let him come out properly, thank the fans, and give him a real good proper send off. Right? Maybe see some legends pop up, all that good stuff. Speaking of legends, it was great seeing one of the guys that used to knock on Bill Goldberg's door locker room door from back in the day. He was in attendance. Diamond Dallas Page was there as well, looking fantastic as ever. So it was nice seeing some of the familiar heads going on there. So we had that. Now I teased Seth Rollins earlier. So Seth Rollins was in a very interesting position here. He had a match with LA Knight. LA Knight ended up defeating Seth Rollins, but it wasn't in a climactic style. Yeah, it wasn't. So, and this was a pretty short match too, mind you. So basically, towards the end of the match, Seth Rollins jumps off the ropes and he lands, and you're going, oh, what's he getting ready to do here? Is he getting ready to maybe do a back step, come forward with a super kick, or maybe a running knee to the face? And, at first glance, it looks smooth. The move that Rollins did it looked very smooth. But then Rollins immediately goes down, kind of grabbing his right leg in the process. And he's basically telling the referee, hey, I don't think I can continue or whatever. And the referee's like, are you sure? Are you sure? And then we have Seth Rollins decide, yeah, you know what? I can keep going. Let me go ahead. Let me keep going. LA Knight is looking on, trying to figure out exactly what's going on here with Seth Rollins. And then he just basically comes right in that bad boy. And one of the most, what the fuck did I just watch? Moments where he just, I'm trying to think if LA Knight even did blunt force trauma. No, he didn't. That's the thing. He didn't even do blunt force trauma. Now that I'm thinking about it, he did like one of the most half-assed clotheslines as we went into a commercial break, from what I remember. Yeah. And then, it's coming back to me now. It's coming back to me. There was a commercial break. Match continued. Spot happens from off the ropes. Rollins in the corner eventually waves off the doctor that he can continue. Knight immediately, I mean, it just came from out of nowhere. Blunt force trauma, picks up the W. So at least at least Knight did pull off the finish, right? It's about like maybe an 8-minute match. Solid matchup. Knight looked really good right here. But you're wondering at this point, what is going on with Rollins? Is Rollins okay? And then when people are sharing the footage online of that sequence where Rollins bounced off the ropes, and nobody was being a dick, myself included. I'm not saying it on social media, but I'm literally going, as I'm watching this in slow motion, I'm going one speed, minus one speed, minus two. I'm like literally frame for frame for frame. I don't see it. Other wrestling fans are like, hey, I'm not being a dick here, but I don't see it. What exactly happened? And responses are, I'm with you. I don't see this. And so everybody's now thinking, well, this is a swerve. Surely Seth Rollins is going to come out and something's going to go on here. And yeah, especially given the fact that immediately after all that happened with Rollins, LA Knight hits the blunt force trauma. Cole, Wade Barrett, they were so quick to show the replay. And you're remembering what unfortunately had happened some weeks back. What was the match there with the girls? It was, who was it? It was, wasn't it the Pirate, Kari Sane? And I'm trying to think, I can't remember. I'm blanking. Y'all got to forgive me. I'm blanking out on the girl right now that Kari Sane was wrestling. And she was just off in a corner, just doing her whole thing and just, yeah, and all that. And they never showed you. I kind of feel like, no, it wasn't Zoe Stark, was it? No, you know what? It was Liv Morgan. I'm remembering now. It was Liv Morgan. Remember that? They didn't show a replay of that. But yet they showed a replay right here. So you're kind of wondering here, like, what what really was going on? Like, was Rollins supposed to come out, cash in that briefcase, and at the last second it got scrapped? What's going on here? Right? Looping that back to the main event between Goldberg and Gunther. It really makes you wonder. I can't wait to hear what the respected insiders have to say in regards to that in the coming days. I have a feeling that by the time we get to the Monday night post show after Raw, we're going to learn a lot more and we'll definitely talk about it and everything. So, good stuff right there. By the way, I got to give a honorable mention to WWE's production team. I was pointing this out not as often as you would think, but I did point out on some of our live shows that WWE, they like don't show love to Goldberg's tenure when he was in WWE the first rodeo or the second rodeo. Like every time we've been getting footage of him as of late, they've just been going back to the WCW well, and that's all fine and dandy. But there was actually some pretty good stuff that was going on there in WWE, and it's funny because we got the usual WCW video package. And I'm saying to my family, and they're chuckling as I'm telling them this. I'm like, man, is WWE too good? Like, they can't show him spearing the hell out of Triple H, winning that World Heavyweight Championship off of him. They can't show Goldberg spearing the hell, messing up The Rock. They can't show him in Jericho. They can't show him in Brock Lesnar. Well, they probably aren't going to show him in Brock Lesnar, right? And then about maybe 20 minutes later, we get Michael Cole and Barrett, and they're still hyping up the Goldberg match. And they talk about how, Goldberg, not for nothing, he had a pretty damn good run here in WWE. And they played a short compilation. They did not show Brock Lesnar. Thought that was kind of interesting, right? Well, I won't say interesting. I mean, you can understand the omission, obviously. Great omission at that. But it was nice seeing them, right? They even had Goldberg spearing the hell out of Triple H, delivering a jackhammer. I thought all that was like, and I popped when I saw that. I said, yeah, real. I was like, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Good stuff. Good stuff right there. They did not go to the well like they normally would when it comes to Jesse the Body Ventura. We got Jesse the Body Ventura and Joe Tessitore. Joe Tess pushing a new suit. Normally we see him in that dark blue, but Joe Tessitore, I guess he said, the checks are finally starting to roll. Let me go on ahead and let me switch it up. Let me get something new. So instead, he was pushing a powder baby blue type of suit. It was like a powder sky baby blue type of color. I liked it. It actually looked pretty damn good on him. I think I might want one of those. Suits look pretty good. I look good in my suits when I wear them. Let me clean up my face a little bit and all that. I can push a really good suit. Anyway, they did not go to the well like that with Jesse Ventura. We only saw Jesse Ventura one time, and that was at the very beginning of tonight's show. We didn't even get to hear from him and I'm trying to think. We didn't get to hear from him and Joe, midway through the show to get their thoughts. We didn't get that. We damn sure did not get Jesse Ventura on commentary for the main event. I guess WWE kind of powers that be, kind of keeping in mind what had happened, last Saturday special, and decided, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to just take it a little easy there with Ventura. Let's just take it a little easy. Can you kind of blame them? There's almost a loose cannon of them out there that you got going on with him. So, no women's matches, no women's match. You can understand that, right? Now, some people. Here's the thing. Let's be real. Let's be real. On the one hand, you go, Well, they got a pay-per-view event that's going to be happening Sunday, all dedicated to the women. Okay, cool. But then on the other hand, you go, well, not for nothing, but it would be nice to get some type of a nod for that Evolution event. Surely we can have some type of a segment with women if we can't do a match, right? Somehow pay it forward to Evolution. And I brought this up as early as this past Monday. So love the segment that they had here when they pretty much came back from a commercial break. We get to see the beautiful and the lovely Rhea Ripley. We also get to see Io Sky in the Women's Championship as Cole and Barrett are previewing their matches that's coming up at Evolution. We see Jade Cargill and we hear about, hey, you know, the opportunity she's got coming to her, Evolution, da 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 da. And then, SummerSlam, I should say. And then as they get ready to go to the next match, wham! Just out of nowhere, Naomi attacks Jade Cargill from behind. I found this kind of comical. I don't know if anybody else had peeped this out, but I found this comical. So all the women that we just went over, all in their street clothes, right? Except for Naomi. Naomi is in her knee pads, all that. Now, some people could say, yo, homegirl showed up trying to fight. She ain't give a damn. She was ready to fight. But, you know, I'm like this. If I hear you gonna be somewhere and I'm trying to beat that ass, I don't think I'm gonna be taking the time to go find a locker or a bathroom, change into my ring gear, put on some knee pads, and I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna be in my street clothes, and when I see you, I'm gonna drop your ass on sight. That's how I'm gonna do it. So I found it a little bit comical, but I just said, suspension of disbelief. Let me just, this is very fine detail. Just push that logic to the side, Lee. Just go ahead and now, what I was really interested in wondering about was, okay, Jade's there, Naomi's there. We're gonna maybe see some type of a fight go down right then and there, like something maybe gonna happen. So we get Nick Aldis who comes out. And he says, oh, yeah, I kind of expected that you girls were going to somehow lock up tonight. Kind of suspected this. I anticipated this. And it's for that reason, y'all's match at Evolution, we going to spice it up a little bit. Because what you all need is a special guest referee. And so that special guest referee, that enforcer, is going to be none other than Bianca Belair, who came out in a very nice dress, nice pretty pink boa. Oh man, homegirl had some fine. Her legs was on fire tonight. I do love when she shows off her legs. She needs to show off her legs more because they're always so covered up when you really stop and think about it. But she got some nice legs. So that's what's going to be on the docket for Evolution. So we got our nod there for those that was kind of like, yo, can the women get a little bit of love on Saturday's card? Because remember, as early as the Monday post show, we saw that there was at that point we saw that there were 3 matches, all men's matches. And I said to you guys, well, it's early. Maybe they might put in a 4th match. Maybe it might be a women's match. And then I believe the 4th match, I believe that finally did not get called until it feels like maybe it was, I want to say Thursday is when that match was announced. So FYI on that one. Solo Sikoa, which was the 4th match, by the way, that got announced. Solo Sikoa taking on Jimmy Uso. Singles match for the United States Championship. Once again, the numbers game coming into play here on poor Jimmy Uso. I kind of got a little bit of a chuckle because when Jimmy Uso's music first hit, you can see the crowd react and they're kind of, hey, Jay Uso's getting ready to come out. Yeah. But then once the tone of the music changed, it was kind of, then reality kind of settled in a little bit. I'm not going to say it isn't happiness to see me, is it? I'm not going to say it was on that kind of borderline. But what I will say it was, oh, well, it's Jay. Well, actually, no, it's Jimmy, isn't it? No, oh, that's Jimmy. Yeah, that's not the Yeet guy. That's Jimmy. This is Big Jim. Eh. I felt bad for Jimmy. I really did, man. 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Solo Sokoa picking up the win. Looking at my notes here from what I jotted down. Final moments of this matchup. Jimmy backed up in the corner. Tries to go for the Uso splash. Was able to connect. Goes for the pin. Solo kicking out, however. Jimmy runs into a knee from Solo. Then another. That ended up spinning Solo before Jimmy ducks that spike from Solo. Jimmy connects with a couple of super kicks. Then he tries going up top. Solo rolls outside. Jimmy ends up doing a corkscrew, pretty much crashing into everybody from Solo. Who was the other one? JC. And I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name. Tala. Tala is the other guy I'm thinking about. But yeah, the numbers game just too much. Just too much right there. As all that action happening on the outside, Tala goes for a boot. He ends up getting super kicked for his efforts there. Solo from behind with a schoolboy, but Tala helps in setting up the 3 count win there for Solo. Solo still your United States champion. Nice back and forth between both guys. I know Solo catches a lot of heat. He's got that go away kind of heat. Almost, I'm not even going to say in a Dominic Mysterio because Dominic is on a appreciative. He's got his own aura that's going on. It's really badass. He's on a whole nother level, right? He's respectfully on a whole other level. But Solo, I like his in-ring work. I think he's very solid, and when he's led to his own devices as far as showing a little bit more personality, doing uncharacteristic things that you wouldn't otherwise think that his character would do. That's what really kind of makes him okay. I didn't know he had that kind of quirkiness in him. I didn't know he had that kind of silliness in him. I didn't know he had that kind of okay, well, we need to see more of that. Um, Good stuff right here. Good stuff right here. Other than that, just going through, I think we got one more match to talk about. And yeah, we only got one more. Oh, actually, wait. Yeah, we got one more match to talk about. Randy Orton, who was with Jelly Roll. Remember, we've been hearing the reports about Jelly Roll, him possibly trying to train for a match in WWE. More on that in a hot second. Randy Orton taking on Drew McIntyre as Drew McIntyre was joined alongside by Logan Paul. I kept my fingers crossed as I was watching this. I was just hoping, I was just praying that this was not going to be a SummerSlam preview. But baby, that's exactly what we got here with this one. But not as bad as we think it is. Not as bad as we think it is. Let me explain here. Randy Orton picking up the win. Pretty much had came right at about 5 minutes. It was a rather short match. Final moments of this matchup. Logan Paul causing a distraction. This pretty much led to Drew McIntyre taking advantage of it briefly, but then Randy hits a draping DDT. Logan Paul running roughshod again. Another set of distractions. Pretty much sets up a Claymore. Near fall. Jelly, he's like, you know what? I've seen enough of this. He gets in Logan's face, shoves him on his ass. Drew's yelling at Jelly Roll, like, yo, you need to stay where you're at. Respect your lane. Don't be coming into our lane. Otherwise, go ahead, come on in this ring. Catch a couple of these hands. Jelly Roll is kind of looking on like, maybe I just might take you up on that. Drew McIntyre, meanwhile, yelling, getting it on there with Jelly. Randy coming in there with the RKO, picking up the W. Post-match, Logan Paul knocks Randy Orton on his ass. Jelly Roll, totally disgusted. He has seen enough. He gets in there, gets a little bit physical as he shoves Logan Paul. Decks him with a right hand. I mean, he looked like that was a real connection. He did pretty good with that right hand, I gotta say. Putting Logan Paul in his ass. Jelly tries to go in, check in on Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre coming from out of nowhere with a Claymore. Jelly Roll sold the living hell out of that Claymore. Good stuff. I love what I saw right there. And at that instance, and you know, I gotta give Jelly Roll credit. It might not seem like much to some people, but the man has lost a decent amount of weight. He looks like maybe he's lost about, I would say, 30 pounds, maybe. Still a relatively large man, but he's getting there. He's getting there. So good for him. Remember what I was saying with creative. I got to push back on creative here. As cool as it was of what I saw Jelly Roll do, and those were good signs to me that as far as, okay, no, I'm taking this serious. I want to do this and I want to give this the proper respect. And, oh, okay. All right, cool. Jelly Roll's not doing anything wrong so far based off what I had saw tonight. But where I have a problem with WWE is the following. So about 40 minutes, give or take, after we saw all that stuff go down, I'm saying this out loud. I'm going, well, I guess at this point, since SummerSlam is happening August 2nd and the 3rd, you could probably spare maybe a week or two. And you can have Jelly Roll fans be taking the social media so concerned about Jelly Roll, wondering what's going on with the guy. How badly is he hurt? Damn that Drew McIntyre. Catch some freaking heat. Let Logan Paul go on his podcast and talk some hot trash about Randy Orton, particularly talk some hot trash on Jelly Roll. Let WWE sell the hell out of what happened with Jelly Roll. And, oh, he is taken to the hospital. We understand that, last we had heard that he was unconscious, but he is awake, but he's not really sure of his surroundings. Kind of sounds like maybe he might have a concussion, I don't know why I'm having a hard time pronouncing that tonight. Concussion, damn it. I don't know, maybe because I only got about 3 hours of sleep the night before. I had a very busy night, but anyway, it's all good. You're working with me, right? I think we're doing pretty good. For a guy that only got that many hours of sleep, I'm doing pretty good on the energy for you guys here. Hope you appreciate it. If you do, hit the like, all that good stuff. Anyway, you're thinking like WWE is going to really sell this big time, right? Maybe even have Jelly Roll's woman, say some stuff on social media, release a statement like, nah, man, nah, homie. We don't get none of that. Instead, we're told right before a commercial break that there's going to be an interview with Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. And you're like, Instantly, I just do the face palm because I'm just going, no, what are you guys thinking? Like, seriously, what the hell are you guys thinking? And then at this point, I'm going, well, hopefully, Jelly Roll will at least barely try to talk because, he did get hit upside the head, and, maybe Randy Orton's going to do most of the talking. Like, this is salvageable. Not. We get to this interview segment, and freaking Randy Orton, oh man, that sucks what had happened. Can't believe they had did that. And you got Jelly Roll. I'm a man. I'm a man, damn it. I'm not gonna take that. Like, oh man, you tell you what, you meet against them anytime, any place. I'm like, no. This is like some instant Acme feud BS. Like, no. What are we doing here? You essentially got like I'm just looking at the count. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is my main concern with WWE. It's really coming off like creatively. They besides 1 to 2, you could tell like where their focus really is, and it's like, no, we got some good stuff. Like, no, we got you next week because like we got this which bleeds into this, which bleed. It almost feels like with everything else, they're just winging it. So you're looking at this, and at this point, you have essentially 3 weeks to go until SummerSlam. And this just literally, I'm being honest with you guys, and I love Randy Orton, I love Drew McIntyre, love their work. Longtime listeners know how often I have praised Logan Paul, but I have even admitted that in more recent months, some of the stuff that he's been putting out there to no fault of his own, just some of the matches that he's been involved in when compared to his previous work, you're like, seeing Logan Paul do better. Like, I was alright, but ain't nothing to really write home about. Okay? And that's not saying, oh, hey, I'm looking for a 10-star match. It's just, no, that was just a really decent, fill in the blank. Okay? So you got 3 weeks to go, and we just do this instant Acme feud, and it's made official that Jelly Roll will be teaming up with Randy Orton to take on Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. Like, we knew that Drew and Randy were going to continue their thing. Does it really need that celebrity touch? No, it really doesn't. But guess what? We're going to get the mother anyway. So learn to live with it, learn to love it. Okay? It is what it is. But I just did not like how this was handled. WWE missed out on a really good opportunity, and I'm going on and on and on about this because Jelly Roll definitely, if they would have pitched it to him, I honestly feel that Jelly Roll definitely would have been like, yeah, man, whatever you need me to do. You want me to do what on social media? Yeah, let's do that. You want my wife to do what? My girl to do what? Yeah, let's do it. I'm sure he would have been all in on it creatively. So that was just such a great disappointment, all said and done. Beyond that, that is all the matches. I'm just going back to look at the card one more time, making sure that I didn't miss anything. I don't think we did, y'all. Yeah, we covered all of those matches. That pretty much was it in a nutshell. So, overall, lackluster edition of main event. Not as solid as the other ones that we've gotten. Appreciated the Gunther Goldberg match. That really was the main admission for watching the show. It's really kind of one of those things where you're like, why are we doing a 2 hour show here again? Because yeah, like you get that it's really weird when you're watching this show because if you're a longtime wrestling fan, you're watching this show and you're remembering the nostalgia and all of that other stuff. But then at the same time, this almost feels like you're watching. It almost feels like you're watching a plug for why you should watch WWE. You understand what I'm saying? If I can't quite put the right words together, but it basically feels like one of those. I don't know if you want to say maybe an infomercial. I don't know if that's really the word that I want to be going for, but it really is now starting to feel like WWE is just, oh shit, we got this quota we got to meet for NBC. And they can put all the time and the energy and the you know what with the Saudi shows and all that stuff, but it seems for their Saturday night's main event, very, very, it's very, very subpar. Like, it's now getting to a point where you just go, this show really is not necessary. This show really is not needed. And look, if you're not going to do something pretty shocking, like a world title change, if you're not going to, what's the whole purpose of watching this show? Especially when you got so many eyeballs. You know how many households access NBC yearly? Stretched across, what do you got? Satellite? Or you still going with the traditional cable, like you name it, you going digitally, like so many households that tap into that. But this show really started, I would say, going in nosedive territory. I would say, just thinking about these matches, let me go back and look at these matches again. I would say probably right after. I'm just looking at the matches here. Honestly, right after Solo and Jimmy, Knight and Rollins was kind of decent, but I don't know. It just felt like it was definitely on a steady decline. Because the Solo Jimmy stuff was I was actually more interested in that than LA Knight and Rollins, to be perfectly honest with you. But just seemed like it kind of took a nosedive a little bit afterwards. So, not one of the best editions of main event. Put it to you this way, you ain't missed nothing. Nothing in the world. If you weren't able to record it, you're good. You are good. Let's see how you guys had rated this edition of Saturday night's main event. Got a poll up on Twitter at the RCWR show. Let's see what you guys had to say there. Again, Twitter at the RCWR show. We also got a poll up on youtube.com/the RCWR show as well. All right, you got three options here. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and Goldberg should have won for you Goldberg fans. Coming in at 11% of the votes, Goldberg should have won. 23% thumbs up. Top dog right now, 66% of the votes. Y'all gave Saturday night's main event a thumbs down. Let's see what you guys had to say over on YouTube, youtube.com/the RCWR show. And let's see how you guys have voted that way. See how you guys have voted over there. I've been watching a lot of BMF, and I'm loving how those Atlanta boys are talking. Oh, over here, man, over here, over there, right here, right here. Love it. I'm not making fun, like legit. I actually love how they talk. Love it. If that's how they really talk in Atlanta, I got to visit Atlanta. All right, Saturday night's main event, early voting coming in, but right now I am seeing 100% coming in, thumbs down. So that is Saturday night's main event. That's in the books. Hopefully the next one is a rebound, and this felt more like a. Just felt more like a. I'm gonna tell you flat out, this felt like the B-side to SmackDown. This felt like a B-side to SmackDown, and just outtakes that they're outtakes for a reason, and not quite good outtakes. That's not me being harsh, but you expect me to be honest with y'all, right? That's it in a nutshell. Let's talk about NXT's Great American Bash. That event started earlier in the day. Is a little conflicting what was going on because some people were under the impression, including myself, oh, everything's gonna get started at 2:30. And then you hear, no, it's actually 3 o'clock. Well, what's this about 2:30? And apparently 2:30 was the kickoff. 2:30 was the kickoff. So you're like, oh, okay. But you know what? There's nothing wrong if you thought it was going to be coming on at 2:30 because after all, AEW All In, that thing started at 1 o'clock. As far as their pre-show, their 0 hour, that started at 1 p.m. We'll talk more about AEW after Great American Bash, but I gotta say, AEW to go from 1 p.m. to a little after 9 p.m. Oh my God, that never needs to happen again. That never needs to happen again. Anyway, Great American Bash, some interesting developments from that show. For starters, we got the debut of Blake Monroe as she teamed up there with Jordan Grace. They took on Lethal Influence. I enjoyed the main event match with all of those girls. That JC Jane, man, she is really coming into her own. I'm glad that JC Jane is still with WWE. I gotta admit to you guys, there is a period there where I wasn't really sure. Uh, Not that JC Jane was doing anything wrong, but I kind of felt that, if something doesn't turn a corner soon, real quick and for the better, there was that part of me that was kind of feeling as though JC Jane could have been given a red slip. And so I'm glad that she is still there, and she's probably in like the best shape of her career since she's been out there wrestling. I mean, she looks like a superstar. She looks like somebody that is definitely, you need to pay attention to this girl. You need to see, what she's doing and all that. I wasn't a fan of Blake Monroe, the formerly known as AEW's Mariah May. I wasn't a fan of her entrance. Uh, Very, and WWE needs to go back to the well, and they need to tweak this really, really quick. So we see her come out, and the arena it's extremely dark, and there's this blue tinted. It's a hard light. Do you know the difference between a hard light and a soft light? When you have a soft light, it really enhances natural colors in your face. There is a softness to it in the way that you're presented. Whereas a hard light is just as it sounds. And it's definitely, depending on how the light is set up, great shadows, all that other stuff. And with Blake, the lighting setup, you got to forgive me for being this technical, but I do know a thing or two about television production because while I was in college, I had some TV courses. So I was producing projects behind the scenes, writing, directing, operating the cameras and all that. So I'm just looking at stuff from a production standpoint for Blake Monroe's debut, and I'm just shaking my head, going, no, this is not working. And then to make matters worse, the selection of the music that you have her come out to, I get the character that she's supposed to be portraying, but like, gee, I don't know. Maybe it's just the old school wrestling fan in me, but I need to hear a wrestler's theme that lets me know, oh, snap. When I hear that theme, yo, that's off the break. When I hear that theme, I'm thinking about that person's finisher. When I hear that theme, I'm thinking about some of my favorite matches I've seen them in thus far. When I hear that theme, I know when it's got to be one of those themes. When I hear that theme, yo, I think I might actually want to go check that out, put that on my Spotify playlist. Okay, that's how this theme. Who's the guys? That's Def Rebel or whatever. Man, that music sucked. I'm not gonna even. That music sucked. What they had her come out to. Yeah, it fits her character, but it was just too damn generic. And then the way she was out there. You just have her go out there. She's not doing any type of interacting with the crowd. She just comes out and she's almost like a deer in the headlights with this awkward pose. It's like, what are we waiting on exactly? Like, are the lights maybe supposed to come on? Um, is there supposed to be fire or something? Like, is something, and nothing happened. So you're going, okay, the entrance sucks. Let's put that to the side. The entrance might suck, but hey, those of us that's watched this woman, we know she's pretty damn good in the ring. So let's see what she can do. I wasn't a fan of the fact that she got tagged in early on. I kind of felt more like they needed to build that up even more, build up the anticipation for that even more, so that you could eventually have the crowd really pop for her when she finally does get that tag. I'm not saying hot tag, just yeah, let Jordan take a big old right, and then finally Blake Monroe gets the tag. It's like all right, our girl's finally in there. Now we get to see. Yeah, all right, here we go, we're underway. She's officially making her in-ring debut. Let's go. And then if you want to go back to Jordan Grace and then let her be the whipping mule, set it up so that Blake Monroe gets the hot tag, right? Huge pop from the crowd. It wasn't laid out like that. Wasn't a fan of the blueprint for this and how it was set up. Should have gone much better than how it was laid out. I thought all four women did rather fine in this tag match. JC Jane and Fallon Henley. I got to give Fallon Henley a lot of credit because Fallon Henley, she is somebody that. Quick sidebar, by the way, and I want to hear from you guys about this, not just with Great American Bash, but I want to hear y'all's thoughts from particularly those of you that watch NXT on a regular basis. I found myself watching NXT, the go home show, and setting up Great American Bash. And I just went, man, they really went through the cabinets and the refrigerator, didn't they? Because, yeah, Obafemi, right? But he's kind of lost just a little bit of that aura, a little bit of that, right? I've seen more and more a growing I can't stand that dude. And it's like, well, he sucks. Like he's basic. There's nothing special about him. Like, some would say that's a little bit harsh, but you kind of understand to a degree where some of those people are coming from. But what I mean by that is like, yo, Stephanie Vakir, no, we like her. Yoink. Julia, yeah, yum, yum, yum. We like her too. What else you got there, And they just, well, we got Fraxium. Oh, you do? Well, not anymore. What else you got? We got Braun Breaker. Nah, we like him. What else you got? It's just a recurring theme here. But like, there's only but a couple of faces, isn't there, in NXT where you're like, I'll watch NXT. See, it's weird because there used to be a time where when it came to NXT, you're going, yo, I'm watching NXT because I get to watch this person each week. I get to check out this person. Yo, this person's going to be wrestling. And now I'm going to be honest. I've never found myself doing so much fast forwarding in my life, with the exception of a handful of people. Fallon Henley is definitely one of those people. I've had my eye on her for a while. Leaps and bounds of fantastic improvement. I've already put over JC Jane, Jada Parker. Love me some Jada Parker 24/7. I love me some Jada Parker. Kalani Jordan, who, you know, well, hey, I found out something very interesting in regards to Kalani Jordan that I wish I did not know. I'll share it with you because it's not too vulgar. Apparently, there was a wardrobe malfunction at Heatwave. I understand it. Apparently, some people are still what's the right word? I want to say traumatized. Traumatized by that. Anyway, though, nice tag match with Jordan Grace, Blake Monroe taking on Fatal Influence. I thought for sure Blake Monroe was maybe going to turn on Jordan Grace because it just kind of felt, for me personally, y'all let me know, but for me personally, Blake Monroe, it just, you were excited, but then the honeymoon just fizzled out very, very quickly. It's almost kind of one of those. So wait, let me see if I got this straight. Now that we're married and everything, and you talked a good game when it came to making breakfast and all these nice homemade dinners, and now you're telling me I basically got to go get frozen food. I got to go get some frozen meals because you don't feel like cooking. Well, I mean, damn. What the hell? I mean, the honeymoon with Blake Monroe, it fizzled out really, 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 really quick. Final moments of this matchup, we saw a cameo by the NXT Women's Champion and Masha Slamovich, who came down to deal with Nyx. Blake ends up taking a hit there to try to save the match in the pin from going to lethal influence. We got all four women at one point. They're brawling with one another. Grace and Fallon end up going to the apron. Fallon connecting with a 619. Blake then clocks Fallon. Jane misses a rolling encore but lands a super kick. Blake avoids a O'Connor roll, and Grace connects with a back fist on Jane. Then Blake follows up with the Kobashi DDT, picking up the W. It's about 17, 18-minute match, give or take. Okay match. Little rough around the edges in some parts. As far as the tag team chemistry goes between Grace and Blake, pretty good. Actually, pretty good. But Fallon and Jane are continuing to find their groove. They're actually getting better and better. So I will give them that. Some other action on the card from Great American Bash NXT. Let's talk about. I guess we can talk about Obafemi defending the NXT championship there against Anamura successfully. 13 minutes. Fun style of match. I appreciated getting a little bit of info about Anamura as well because I haven't been checking out the Pro Wrestling Noah promotion, and so it was nice to get some backstory into this guy and other folks, and find out how Omaz was doing over there overall and everything. Which a lot of people were saying, he actually did pretty good. Some pretty solid stuff. Did a lot more than what WWE was doing with him and everything. Like, he still has some work to do, but definitely leaps and bounds better than what you last remember of him, Lee. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. One of the things that I liked about this match and how it was booked, and I think that's probably one of the things that's been a little bit nerve wracking for some wrestling fans that maybe aren't really feeling Obafemi, is just the whole, this guy rarely sells, this guy rarely takes an ass whooping. Well, Inamura, definitely was bringing that heat. Okay, so as long as I've been watching NXT, and it's been sporadic and off and on, I'll definitely admit that. But as long as I've been watching the promotion, for me, this was the first time in really a long, long time that I've seen Obafemi look like, okay, no, like your championship could be in jeopardy here. Yeah, I kind of question whether or not you're really going to be able to come out of this okay, especially with Josh Briggs and Enamori's corner. Remember, at one point, a referee was distracted, and Josh Briggs decided he would use that opportunity to try to get in a cheap attack on Oba, and he was successful. And Amora doesn't realize what's going on until he gets ready to climb up the top rope, and Briggs is cheering on, and then Amora starts putting two and two together and says, "Nah, I'm not trying to win that way. Like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like, I'm not trying to win that way." And he ends up doing a leap off the top, goes for a cover, and Oba kicks out. Match continues. The ending of that match was a little bit confusing. I don't know if it was confusing for you guys that had watched it, but towards the end, Briggs, Josh Briggs, he jumps up on the rope, the side apron, if I remember, and he took something off of his neck, some type of necklace. And I don't know if he was trying to distract the referee or somehow toss it to Enamora so Enamora could use it on Oba. I don't know what the hell that was about, but the fall from grace connected, and that pretty much was it. Obafemi retained the championship that way. I know post match, backstage interviewer caught up with Oba, get his thoughts and everything. He puts over Enamora. Josh shows up talking hot trash. So seems as though, and Josh told him straight up, look, I know if that would have been me in there, I definitely would have whooped your ass. So we kind of see the seeds being planted there where we're pretty much going to be heading next and everything. And let's not forget NXT. They're going to be hitting us up with another event. It's going to be happening in August. If you bear with me a second, I can actually tell you the name of that event. I believe it's going to be, we were just talking about it a few seconds ago with Kalani Jordan, but I believe it's going to be Heat Wave. I just can't remember the exact date. It kind of feels like maybe it's going to be around the 20 something. And I'm looking at the information now. It's going to be live from Massachusetts, Sunday, August 24th at 6:30 p.m. So for those of you that are in the Massachusetts area, or you're going to be visiting the Massachusetts area in the next month and a half, y'all may want to look into that event. Tickets are going to be going on sale Wednesday, July 16th. So basically this coming Wednesday. So good luck. If you're going to be going, let me know. Let me know. But I would imagine that's likely where we're going to be seeing Josh Briggs and Obafemi lock up there for that NXT Heavyweight Championship. Solid match between the two. Definitely hard hitting. Loved how at times Oba looked vulnerable. Like the match actually could have gone either way. Briggs taking it up a notch and all that. I didn't feel it was too much overkill on Briggs' part. I thought it was just enough that you had going on there. And Amore looked pretty good. I like the fact that they didn't make him look like a chump, because just everything that I was learning about him from his tenure in pro wrestling, Noah, I don't know. I think as far as the future goes, y'all might be looking at a future NXT heavyweight champion there. Definitely, I think you all are looking at a future NXT heavyweight champion. Sound off. Let me know if you agree or if you kind of see things going in a different direction. There was a teaser for Tony D'Angelo. There's some stuff going on there that's basically going to be affecting this week's NXT programming. Um, you know me, longtime listeners. You know me when it comes to NXT, particularly Tony D'Angelo. I fast forward that stuff. Just it's one of the most. It's not interesting. Look. If y'all like it, you know me, man. Hey, that is cool. That is cool. Give me Santino Morella coming out with a Cobra or what's the new guy that WWE is trying to make their pet project with the iguana? Like, give me more of that guy. Like, let that replace Tony D'Angelo. Seriously, seriously. Anyway, some other action on the card for tonight. Yeah, Josh Briggs. I like Josh Briggs. We did have a contract signing. Good old Ava was out there announcing the participants for the TNA World Title match at Slammiversary. Mike Santana, Joe Hendry, current TNA champion, Trick Williams. Nice little campfire, talking hot trash. Nothing really too popping or over the top with this one. Just a whole bunch of trash talking. They did end up attacking Trick, and they double suplexed him through the table. I have a feeling that Botchamania is gonna be running rapid with what happened right there. Uh, if you watched, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh my God. Other than that, Ethan Page retaining the NXT North American Championship against Ricky Saints. 15 minutes and some change. I gotta say, this was the match. As far as price of admission, this was definitely the match to watch. If there's one match I would point out to you guys and say, nah, you know what? You want to go out of your way and you want to make sure you watch this one. The Falls Count Anywhere North American Championship match between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. These guys went all over the place. I love matchups like this one where creatively, if you look, let's be honest. You hear about these Falls Count Anywhere matches, and what typically happens? Shit stays around ring, right? It just stays around the ring. Very seldom do you get more action from a video game or one of those 2K games when it comes to a Falls Count Anywhere match than you do with the real deal. So I knew it was going to be a good match or a good fight, but I didn't know as far as the level of fun, level of creativity. I didn't know that much was going to be emphasized in this match. It actually ended up being better than I anticipated. Definitely more fun than I was expecting. They went borderline and then straight up hardcore during this joint. So I love those aspects as well, and the fact that it was for a championship, I was kind of having flashbacks to the hardcore championship days and everything. Some parts, it kind of felt like, guys, just slow down a little bit. Really get lost in this particular moment that you're trying to sell to the audience. It just felt like, okay, we did that. Now let's move on to the next one. It was like, no, just slow down. Really, really let this sell. Right? This is one of those times where you got to really rely on the audience that's around you watching this fight. You got to rely on what you're hearing from them and kind of take your cues a little bit. And if something's working, you definitely want to do everything in your power to lean heavy into that bad boy and everything. Felt a little rushed and everything. I love seeing Troy get involved there. trying to help protect Saints a little bit. That was a nice little spot. Um, yeah, it was interesting to see like some of the cameos of like other stars that were superstars that was popping up in this match and everything. But this was one of my most guiltiest pleasures for the entire Great American Bash event was seeing these two guys and what they gave. They gave us a classic. It was definitely an instant classic. I really really enjoyed that one. So good stuff from both guys. What's next for Ethan Page? What say you all? Sound off. What do you think is potentially next there for Ricky Saints? Do you see him moving on to something else, or do you see him one more time trying to go after that North American Championship? Sound off. Let me know what you guys think. But easily one of my most favorite matches of the entire card. Beyond that, let's see, Sol Ruka retaining her respected championship, the NXT North American Championship, against Zarya, Izzy Dame, and Tatum Paxley. About 11 minutes and change. I like Sol Ruka. She's coming along. Decent stuff in this matchup. I will say that there was some decent stuff in this matchup, but overall, ooh, man, there was so much that went wrong in this match that it was really hard to look past it. You know, it's one thing if look, you know, we all make mistakes and okay, pacing, the timing, just your overall your footwork, like off, like you know, it happens. But when it repeatedly happens, you know, this is one of those moments where I'm looking at all the girls. Ruka was the only one that looked the most polished. The other girls, I just want to sit them down so bad and go, hey, slow down. Just slow down. Breathe in, breathe out. Take your time. Don't try to rush and because when you do that, sloppy shit happens. And when you get sloppy, you're gonna end up hurting yourself and or your dance partner. Slow down. Don't let the crowd work you. You work the crowd. All right? They came to see you, right? You work them. Don't let the it's not the other way around. Um it seemed like Ruka was doing a lot of cleaning up here, you know, and if anything, I was just more impressed with what she was juggling here. This was a bad match. I'm not gonna go any more than that. This was of all the matches that was on the card for the Great American Bash, and if I were to go, you know what, leave that out. That's the match I'm eyeballing, straight up. Sound off. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but that's the one I'm eyeballing the most there. Kicking things off, Javon Evans picking up a W, about 14, 15 minute mark, picking up a W over Jasper Troy. Been enjoying what we've been seeing with these guys going back and forth. Jasper Troy, of course, trying to get his comeuppance. You know, we know he's been trying to work his way to a NXT Heavyweight Championship opportunity against Obafemi and all that. So, how did I refer to this when I was previewing this? I basically had said, you know, it's kind of like mini Goliath taking on David. David definitely being Javon Evans and everything. Decent opener to NXT Great American Bash. Okay match. Troy definitely he's growing on me. He's got that whole Death Row Records vibe meets a little bit of Jacob Fatu and all of that. He's got an interesting aura about him. Definitely has charisma and everything. Evans did a fantastic job fighting as the underdog in this one here. Um, you can never go wrong, or so you think, when you have a giant taking on a small guy. Like, it's like one of the oldest formulas in history. Like, but there's been times where there's been some duds. This was definitely a case right here where the Styles jailed very good in this one. Got a video package from Channing Lorenzo and his Heritage Cup. Apparently his cup was stolen, and he went to challenge Matt Bloom at the training center and all that. Kind of ties back to Tony D'Angelo and all of that stuff. We found out later, he pretty much had the Heritage Cup, and he threw that bad boy over the pier. Whatever, dude. Like, I'm not a fan of Tony D'Angelo. Have I said that enough already? But overall, as far as NXT Great American Bash goes, it was a okay show. I know this was going head to head with AEW. I'm not gonna judge the two shows from the standpoint of, because remember, the AEW All In show had additional hours upon hours. So that is a unfair, right? And we're talking about, in regards to NXT, it's still to a certain degree developmental, but a higher tier developmental, right? We can all agree with that. But just taking this NXT show for what it's worth and everything, um, I would give it a 6 out of 10. You might be able to push me to a 6.5, but I can't go higher. I can't go any lower. Kudos for time management. They did roughly almost a 2.5 hour show, give or take, or roughly less than that. So that's always pretty good and everything. But pretty solid. I gotta say, the main two matches that really stood out to me the most was Oba and Amora, Ethan Page, Ricky Saints. That really was it. And not for nothing, but the main event with all four girls there in that tag match, that was fairly decent as well. So not too bad of a card. Let's see what you guys had to say about NXT Great American Bash. Twitter poll we go now. Both Twitter polls, or correction, both polls on Twitter and on YouTube. See what you guys had to say about the event. All right, I'm seeing on Twitter right now. Alrighty, 100% of you all are giving Great American Bash a thumbs up. Again, 100% of the votes coming in so far on Twitter, giving Great American Bash a thumbs up. Meanwhile, let's see how it's looking over on YouTube. Let's see here. Now, as I'm pulling this up, have y'all seen the new Superman movie yet? If so, definitely want to know what you thought. I enjoyed it. It's very rare I give a movie a 10 out of 10. And for me, just everything that I came to know, love, appreciate, and respect of Superman when I first began collecting the comic books as a little kid back in like 1985. I loved what I got on the big screen. I love what I got. David Cornsweet is, boy, so damn good as Clark Kent Superman. Seriously, so damn good. You can make an argument he is as good as Christopher Reeve, if not better. It's really, really good. I was talking with the wifey, and she thoroughly enjoyed it as well. And then she said to me, I wouldn't mind seeing that again. I said, I wouldn't mind seeing it again either. So we're making plans to actually go see it in a couple of weeks. And she recommended this place. She said, if we're going to try to see that again, we should really, really get a unique experience. I'm like, well, what are you thinking? Are you thinking 3D? She goes, yeah, that'll be nice, but I had this in mind instead. And apparently, some place that's called, and this is new to me. I don't know if you all have heard this before, but apparently, there's a new theater chain called Screen X. And the way that they've got their theater screen set up, it's not a flat screen. It is basically a circular type of screen that you're watching, and it really feels as though what you're watching on the screen, it's really popping out at you. It's an experience that you got to see in person. Sounds badass. Really, really sounds badass. So I definitely am gonna try to see what's going on with that. But yeah, we're gonna actually make plans and go see it again. That's how good it was. Looking on YouTube at the RCWR show in the polling results, I am seeing 100% of you all are giving Great American Bash a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys that voted. By the way, we're gonna revisit these polling results once everything is over and done with. Because this is like usually like I like looking at the stuff, tracing it for like about 24 hours during the weekend, and then revisit it on our Monday show. So don't think just because you hear the polling results, well, that's it. Like, no, you can actually still go and vote. We always recircle, not recircle, but we always circle back to talking about the polling results on the Monday show. So you're good. You're good. All right, let's talk about last but not least AEW All In 2025 Texas. Whew, man, this was long. That's what she said. Listen here. AEW. The information's out there. AEW was like, yeah, it's gonna be a 5-hour show. Well, that was a lie. I need for Tony Khan and crew to be very, very careful here. I want nothing but the very best for AEW. I want nothing but the very best for AEW fans, for wrestling fans in general. But like the one thing that we must not do. We must not, if you're AEW, put ourselves in a position where we're asking people to pay $50+ for a pay-per-view. And then, they're already making the necessary time and they're already anticipating, okay, it's probably going to be like, 5 hours or whatever. Like, okay, cool. Your show starts at 3, but then we go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 hours. That's if you're not counting 0 hour, which started at 1 o'clock. Then, when you include that, 2 hours. So now you're looking at 8 hours of programming from AEW. That's a whole shift. That is a whole shift. Now, some people may look at that, and I respect this ideology. Yo, man, 8 hours, $50 for a pay-per-view, and I'm getting 8 hours. Yeah, that's a nice bang for your buck. For Christ's sake, I be that same guy that was talking about it last week. How about the Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath final show, which ran like 10+ hours? All you had to do was drop $30 and you got to experience all that in the comfort of your own home. Man, if you got a nice big ass screen size TV, you've got a great sound system. Oh man, you were in heaven. You were in heaven. Especially if you invited a couple of friends over and y'all were just headbanging. Y'all had yourselves a nice little good time, right? But man, here's the thing. You had WWE Saturday night's main event coming on. NBC, the mighty Peacock. The mighty Peacock. And like for people that decide, I don't want to deal with cable. I don't want to deal with XYZ. Like I'm just gonna be rid of it. I got my internet. I'm good to go, and I'll be able to watch my basic channel somehow. They figure out a way, and they are regular NBC that is available in so many households that if you're putting somebody in that position, drop $50. Yeah, I mean, it's good because you're getting 8 hours of wrestling, content and all of that. But if you're AEW, if you're Tony Khan in AEW, you don't want to put yourself in that position where when it comes to your main event match, it's essentially going head to head, with like the first hour of free wrestling that's on a major network. That is just, first of all, that's either stupidity, that is poor time management, that's arrogance, that's all the above, or you just don't care. You just don't care because you're going to do it this way, and that's all there is to it. But look, they do these type of shows with All In, All Out. They do them once a year, and they usually go balls out. This was a nice buffet of some really good stuff that they had on the card here. I would have to say. I mean, just out of the gate, John Moxley is no longer the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. What was the name of his little stable? Rough Riders, Death Riders. Like, no more Death Riders. At least as far as their stranglehold on the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, as for a second time in his career, Hangman Adam Page is your champion. I love the full circle moment of storytelling that went into this match. Some people may say, good God almighty, this was overbooked like a mofo. We had this person coming out, and then that one time that John Moxley made this 10-year-old kid cry, they came out and yes, 1,000%, yes. There were so many people that came out. This was overbooked like a mofo. But you know what was at the core of all of that overbooking? There was overlapping storylines that all was feeding into this. Okay? The Bucks, sour on Hangman Adam Page, right? Making their appearance, super kicking the hell out of Hangman, trying to essentially help Moxley, because their whole thing is we'd rather see Moxley continue to hold on to that championship than to see you win that title. That's how much we despise you, homie. Okay, I love that nice little touch, that full circle of storytelling. To see the return of Bryan Danielson, especially after Bryan Danielson had said, hey, look, I really don't know if I'm going to be wrestling again. And that should make the scrum interesting. As a matter of fact, I want to go online right now and see if Tony Khan said anything yet in regards to Bryan Danielson, as far as is he back, or was this just like a one-time deal? I'm not seeing anything. Just yet, as far as with the exception of Bryan Danielson recently shared that WWE contacted him to stop doing the yes chants, apparently. But that's it. But no, I'm not seeing anything yet from that press scrum. So definitely when we get to the Monday night show, I'll definitely have some bullet points because I plan on watching it, and we'll be able to talk more about that and everything. But seeing Bryan Danielson return and drop kicking the hell out of Wheeler Yuta, hitting the trademark kicks on Claudio Castagnoli. I think he even got some kicks in there on Moxley. I'm not really sure. I loved it. That was full circle storytelling at its finest, especially considering, Moxley took out Bryan Danielson, and just all these months of, what's going on with Bryan Danielson? Is this guy done? Seriously, what's going on here? And then it doesn't stop there. We get the return of Darby Allin. Darby Allin was gone for an extended period of time. Honestly, longest since he's been in AEW. He comes back, and he came back in style. Freaking harness coming from the skies above there and everything. And I was concerned there. I was greatly concerned. I was wondering how Moxley's pacing was going to be there, if he was going to time it just right so that it wouldn't be a position where he can see Darby coming down and he just goes, and he's just in shock the entire time. No, like, if anything, you're gonna run over to that cat and start wailing on him before he can even get that harness off. That's how you're gonna do it. So I like that by the time Moxley finally turns, Darby's just right there. But even at that, Darby's on the side apron, but he has not successfully been able to detach the harness. And Moxley kind of bought him just a little bit of quick timing there. Good on his part as far as improv. Good stuff. Good stuff seeing Darby return. Again, the full circle in storytelling. Even Prince Nana getting in on that, because he pretty much had a receipt there for Marina Shafir and for the Death Riders, right? Swerve Strickland, of all people, and just thinking about the long-term storytelling, the bitter feud between both of these guys, and for Swerve Strickland to come out there, help out, you're like, whoa, this is some fine ass storytelling that we're doing here. It's all coming back. Yeah, it's funny because we talked about it about 2 weeks ago. That boomerang, you put that boomerang out, right? If it's good, you putting out nothing but good. Good's gonna come back to you, but also some bad's gonna come to you as well, right? That was the case right here for John Moxley. Shit caught up to him finally. I loved it. I love the storytelling. It was great. A little bit overkill in a lot of areas. Like, for instance, Moxley brought out a wooden plank of nails. And man, when he does the paradigm shift, all that, you're going, well, this is over. And yet somehow Hangman kicks out and match continues on. You're like, good God almighty. And then eventually when Hangman Page, when it's his turn, I think he did a couple of buckshot lariats. I think one of them, he made Moxley land back first onto those spikes. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I remember Moxley going back first on the spikes. Yeah, because I remember jumping out of my seat going, holy shit, what the hell? Just insane. The level of anarchy that went into this match. Crimson blood all the way around, man. Them crimson mask all the way around. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was good. I think about Hangman Page for a second, and I just go, I can't believe all these years that's passed, and this is only his second reign as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I remember when AEW first started. Longtime listeners will remember this, and I remember just singing high praises for Hangman Page. And somehow, the first world title, it went down, but like it got hollow really, really quick. That you just kind of felt, maybe it's too soon. That's just how he felt. He was like, maybe it's too soon. And so this go round with the metamorphosis that the Hangman Page character has been taking, I love it. I love where we're at right now, and it feels more believable. It feels more. It doesn't feel forced. It does not feel, well, they gotta go in this direction. That's what I mean when I say forced, right? It doesn't feel like that at all. Um, I like this. This was good. This was good on a lot of levels. Definitely one of my favorite matches. And I tell you, kudos to AEW and Tony Khan also from thinking from this standpoint. Remember all those months of John Moxley. You want to see the AEW World Heavyweight Championship? Well, you're looking at it. I am the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And I loved how finally, when all the chips were down, towards the end there, like right before it was lights out for Moxley, I loved how he pulled one last audible when he told Marina Shafir, this dude wants this championship go so bad, I'm going to make him taste it. Go get the championship. And he actually, now that I'm thinking about it, he told Marina, go get the championship. Go get the briefcase. Let's take out the championship. And there was a key that was around her neck. It's apparently been around her neck for months. It's the key to the briefcase. And she was getting ready to hook him up with the championship. We were about to see the championship for the first time, like months upon months upon months. So to have that type of storytelling also in its own respected way come full circle, where when definitively Hangman, leaving no question, no doubt, no, I'm beating this guy's ass, wins it. And the way he wins it, you think about how his feud with Swerve Strickland had went, and particularly when Hangman had the steel chain wrapped around Swerve's neck and he was choking him outside the ring. That's literally what Page did to Moxley. Crimson face and all, to make Moxley ultimately tap out. Probably the one thing I wish that they could have done, since they wanted to try and get her involved to a certain degree, I wish they would have had Renee Paquette out there. I really wish they would have had Renee Paquette come out crying, pleading with Hangman, trying to play up to his emotions and everything. And, please, we have a kid, please don't do this. I wish it could have, and then she's ultimately looking at John and saying, John, please, think about our baby. Think about our baby. Please. It's not worth it. Let it go. I wish we could have seen a little, because then at least that way you could have maybe felt a little bit of empathy for Moxley. But with the way it all played out, if you're also looking at this from the standpoint of, nah, Holmes, we didn't want there to be any empathy there for Moxley. We wanted for all the when the chickens come home to roost, baby. Now we wanted his ass fried. Then no, what you did was quite perfect, honestly. Good stuff. That match had went about 40 minutes. Remember, I was talking about the storytelling, just how everything came back. Hangman Page getting that key, shaking, stumbling as he's trying to open the briefcase, because it's really starting to settle in that not only has he won the match, he's now the new AEW World Champion. And when he finally unveils that briefcase, that huge pop that the fans have there, I mean, that's, you couldn't have laid that out any better. And one interesting note of did not know that is, and shout out to the commentary team for pointing this out. Great seeing Jim Ross for the last couple of matches too. Always great. We know he had recently experienced a round of health issues, and Luckily, he's still with us, knocking on wood for Mr. Jim Ross. Um, but yeah, you think about that World Heavyweight Championship, and the commentators pointed out, hey, look at that. Basically, Moxley never did change the side plates so that his name is on it. The plates instead was still of Bryan Danielson, which makes the full story and Danielson coming back for that receipt, like, and everything that much more sweeter. All said and done. Love this match. Definitely put Hangman Adam Page at that respectable level that he needs to be at. It needs to be at. Definitely ushering in a new era of AEW programming for sure. I would imagine that now that Moxley is not the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, this is going to make a lot of people go, okay, well, since this has happened, let's maybe go in. Let's see what else is going on here with the product. Let's see what we've been missing. Let's see what new developments has come about. So nothing but good things could potentially happen going forward and everything. So love this. Overbooked as hell, definitely, but a culmination of a year building and storytelling. There's just so many layers, intertwining layers. It's really, really hard to shit on this when it's all said and done. That's my whole point. Moving on to some of the other matches here on the card. I guess we can kind of go a little backwards, and then at the same time, just wherever the talk of AEW All In takes us. We got a new AEW Unified Champion, and it is Kazusuke Okada. Man, twice in a row. It's rare that I say his whole name. I usually just go Okada. Kenny Omega, and we got ourselves a new AEW Unified Champion. Classic match. Loved the pacing of this one. I thought that some of the intros, by the way, entrances, I thought they were a little bit head scratching, a little bit long winded. Kenny Omega's was definitely long winded. I'm not going to lie. His joint was definitely long winded. He came out looking like he hunted down King Bowser, skinned him alive, and was wearing his bones as shoulder pads and arm guards. It was pretty badass the way he came out. Because originally, when you're looking at Omega, you're going, "Oh, he's going for the Sephiroth look. That's what he's going for." But then once the lighting really starts kicking in and everything, you go, "Oh wait, no, that's like maybe some cow skull, some type of like literally it did look like he did something to King Bowser." You're just going, damn. But I felt both men here put on a classic. I thought that there were some moves that were spammed out quite a bit. Really need to kind of scale stuff like that back. It should just be at most two. First one don't work, okay, match continues. All right, you're obviously going to try some other stuff. Maybe eventually you do that move again, and then after the second time, like, you're not going to be spamming that out anymore. You're just going to be trying for something new. What haven't you done in a while that maybe will do the trick for this particular match, for this particular opponent? I felt that some things were a little bit too spammed out, but a nice methodical pacing that was going on in this matchup. Great chemistry between the two. One of my favorite matches on here, without a doubt. From there, let's talk about Timeless Tony Storm defeating Mercedes Moné almost at the 30-minute mark to retain her AEW Women's World Championship. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Mercedes Moné. Yeah, I get it. She's the belt collector. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. I'm not gonna even lie. I thought that Mercedes Moné was about to add another belt to her collection. I legit thought we was gonna see this woman walk out. And part of me was just thinking at the same time as I was thinking that, man, Texas, there might be a riot. Like, seriously. Because, man, when you heard the entrances for Mercedes Moné and for Timeless Tony Storm, it was pretty obvious who that Texas crowd was feeling. So, this match, fantastic match. Although you had some stuff that was going down in there that was just, but a fantastic match overall. Tony Storm, though, I got a bone to pick with her a little bit. Half of her during this match, and it could be just me, and if it is, that's fine. Let me know. Sound off. Let me know. But Tony Storm in this one, she came off a little bit like, okay, I guess I'll do this. I guess I'll go ahead. I'll do this match. Yeah, whatever. Like, it just seemed like half of her was not really there. Like, her head was elsewhere. Like, she was going through the motions, man. You feel me? Like, she was going through the motions. Right down to the point, there was a lot of half-ass selling that she was doing. And I'm looking at this match, I'm going, damn, like, Mercedes is working her little ass off here. Like, come on, Tony. Like, get in there. Match that same energy, man. Like, come on. It really didn't seem like she really started picking it up until the second half of the match and everything. But yeah, she just seemed like she was really, really you look at some of the counters, some of the technical moves that was going on, mainly from Tony Storm's side and all that. It just seemed like she was just not half-assing in a way where she was trying to hurt somebody, but just, yeah, I guess I'll do this. Yeah, I guess I'll take that move. Like, she barely was selling that shit. Still, good match. Still a good match. Despite all that, right? How crazy is that? Despite all that, it was still a good match. We're kind of going backwards here. I kind of like this pattern that we got going on. I'm okay with that. Let's keep going. Another cool moment here. The Hurt Business retaining their AEW World Tag titles. This was, wasn't this like a triple? I'm trying to think of the names here. Jet Speed, Christian Cage, Nick Wayne. Yeah, so you triple threat dance for the tag team titles and everything. What was going on with the Hurt Syndicate's entrance? I mean, look, so we had these two black guys. Oh my God. All right, so anyway. No, I'm going to go into it, but I'm just lost in the moment here because I'm playing that back in my head, and that was like one of the most weakest, corniest fucking joints of this show. So Hurt Syndicate is making its entrance. You got these two black guys that's coming out, they're on microphones and everything. Blah, 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 a little bit of rapping, and then for like what felt like an infinity, we heard people. We heard people. We heard people. We heard people. I'm just going, okay, can we like go back to another rap verse? Can we? And they just kept saying that shit over and fucking over. And I wanted to put a damn pin in my eye. I mean, it was excruciating. And then all of a sudden, MVP decides he wants to rap. Very familiar with his rap game. You ain't gonna find me saying any. No, no, no. I love me some MVP. I'm very well familiar with his rap game. His rap was on point. If I had to push back just a little bit, though, I would say MVP. And I could be wrong. Maybe it was just the arena. Maybe how loud the crowd was. Maybe it might have been an audio sync up issue. But it seemed like MVP was just trying to power through his rap lyrics rather than try to pull a Max Caster and okay, I got the beat. Yep, I'm hearing the beat. Okay, now let me just okay, it's going 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, then back to 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna rap just like that then with the beats. Just seemed like he was, just trying to power through that joint. But yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Not MVP, off key, but MVP was good. But the other two guys, yeah, nah, man, I was good with that. Okay, little tag match, but the real story for this one was the fact that Nick Wayne's mom, they turned on Christian Cage. That was the main meat and potatoes here. So again, her syndicate retaining their titles, but then post match, FTR with Stokely, they get in the ring, and Nick is saying to FTR, "No, don't hurt him, please let him be, don't hurt him." And Christian Cage comes to his feet and everything, and you know appreciates what Nick Wayne did right there, and it's like, come on, let's go ahead, let's get out of here, and Nick Wayne is like, yeah, let's go ahead, let's leave, and then wham, soon as Christian Cage turns his back on Nick Wayne, Wayne attacks him. FTR and Stokely are looking on stunned. So you're looking at this, you're going, okay, so obviously they definitely did not know that this was going to happen. Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne, they both take sides, holding Christian Cage down on his knees as Nick Wayne's mom says to Christian, "I've been waiting a long time for this." Bitch slaps the hell out of him. Just pure pandemonium that was going on here, and it seemed at this point this was about to be a serious mugging on Christian Cage, when all of a sudden we hear the music of Edge, Adam Copeland. He has come out to save the day. He's got a spiked bat in hand, or at least a spiked wood plank in hand. This is where it gets comical. I got to push back on this. I don't know too many people where they see their best friend or former best friend or just somebody that needs help come out, and the very first thing that they do is they go to the far fucking left to greet the fans. Probably the only thing that was missing was this mofo going and high-fiving and doing fucking autographs and shit. Like, okay, all right, you ain't been on TV, you ain't seen in a while. Okay, the adrenaline in my soul. Okay, gotcha. I could maybe kind of tolerate that a little bit. But where I'm really lost, fam, is when Edge gets to the middle of the stage ramp. He's still not done. Wait a minute, man, if they wanted to paralyze Christian Cage, they would have already done it by now, right? But now we're going to add more insult to injury. Because now Edge is going to stop, middle of the ramp, throw his hands up, because he's got to get that pyro. And he actually gets the pyro. I just... I just said, no, are you serious? Now, look, AEW fans, don't be hating, because I literally just talked about WWE and how they did Naomi there. Naomi showing up in ring gear when she should have been in street clothes, whooping that ass. Didn't even have a scheduled match. It's like, so you just drove over here like that? Like you just, you just woke up in your hotel room, all the wardrobe and you just said, I'm gonna put on my ring gear. Okay, cool. Cool. Anyway, very comical how they had Edge, I love that. Huge pop out of me. Edge gets in there, pretty much cleans house, helps Christian to his feet, and tells him straight up, go find yourself. That was his message. So we're getting that tease. Eventually, these guys are going to reunite, and it feels so good. Like, cool. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. Let it be a slow burn before the two of these guys reunite. That is exactly how you want to do it. But there is such thing as strength in numbers. I'm looking forward to seeing. I got to watch a couple of more weeks, at least 2-3 weeks worth of AEW programming to really get a better sense of. All right, well, we got Christian Cage and Edge reuniting. ENC, they're reuniting, but like you still, that's just two of you all. Y'all still need some serious strength in numbers there. Who else are you gonna add to your little, what do you want to call it, team, basically? Winner and number one contender to the AEW Women's World Title from that Women's Casino Royale, Athena, came in at about the 28-minute mark. This felt very unpredictable when it's all said and done. This felt very unpredictable, which is honestly a good thing. I'm sure a lot of people maybe had their personal favorites as far as who they thought was maybe going to win this. I couldn't even pick. I'm not going to be honest with you. And that was one of the main reasons why I went on ahead and said, no, I'm not going to offer any match predictions because I hadn't watched AEW in a significant amount of time. I didn't even watch the 300th episode. And I think Collision just did their 100th episode. And I didn't watch any of those. So I went into this one very, very blind. But from what I have been hearing about Athena and all the hard work that she's been putting in and ROH and how more and more fans have been wanting to see her, excuse me, more and more fans have been wanting to see her. That's a little better. I've been wanting to see her on AEW programming, main programming. Like I'm following y'all right now that's watching this regularly. If y'all are like, no, man, like Athena, yes, it's her time. She needs to, like, okay, I'm with you guys. Let's see what's going on there. But she won the women's casino gauntlet for a future AEW women's championship match. This is definitely great news for Athena fans, particularly, and not to mention, we had got to see some interesting surprises in that one as we saw Sayuri's debut. We also saw a great showing from Windsor. And meanwhile, newer blood like Thelka, she's already proven that, I got every right to be a part of this women's roster. I definitely have earned my spot. So some solid stuff there from the women's casino gauntlet. Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay defeating the Young Bucks via pinfall. Tag team match, and since the Young Bucks lost, they have been stripped of their executive vice president titles. 25 minutes, 50 seconds. One of the longest running gags I've had when it comes to the Young Bucks and their matches, it's been, well, what type of Young Bucks are we going to get? Are we going to get the Young Bucks that are going to just phone it in, doubt their greatest hits, or are we going to get the Young Bucks that actually, they give a damn, they really want to entertain here, they want to put on a really good match? Because when you get that ladder from the Young Bucks, you get some pretty memorable, solid shit, and that's definitely what we got with them here tonight. All four clicked. Love this. I love this. Did not care for the Young Bucks entrance though. I felt like I was watching a Capital Fourth on PBS and them coming out with the boat. Like, that was overkill. That was overkill. That, like, even the crowd is just looking on baffled, and I could just feel them going, 4th of July was like essentially last week, right? And also kind of like, you know, this has gone on way too long, right? It was like the first couple of minutes they tolerated it, but then it was okay. We really need to move along here. We really need to move along here. Dustin Rhodes defeated Daniel Garcia, Cal Fletcher, and Sammy Guevara for the vacant AEW TNT Championship. I know Dustin Rhodes has been on this last run, because this is pretty much gonna be it for him. I don't know if it's like one more year, 2 more years, whatever the case may be. It's pretty much going to be it for him, and everything. And that's all fine and dandy. Look, if you are a Dustin Rhodes fan, look, Dustin can still go. When it's all said, the man can still go. He's put up some pretty damn good matches and everything. So you're not going to find me hating on the fact that Dustin won this championship. We did, in setting up this match, we did see and hear from Adam Cole, who said that unfortunately he has to go away for a while. He's dealing with an injury, and he's not sure if his wrestling career is over or what, but he is gonna spend some time recovering and everything. And it was one of those cases where if you're an Adam Cole fan, you're going, well, speedy recovery, seriously, for this guy, because not for nothing, this guy has been dealing with a lot of health issues. And I know that we as a wrestling community, we've made fun. I personally haven't, but I know at the end of the day, I'm part of this wrestling community, and we definitely need to do better when it comes to, hey, I'm not really sure what's going on with this person, but it's obvious there's some stuff going on. Like, yeah, anybody with two eyes can go, yo, this is not the same Adam Cole that back in the NXT days. He has some thickness going on. Like, it's like, wow, this guy is like, why is he so much smaller compared to his previous years? Like, what the hell? Is this a personal choice? Has he switched up on his dieting? Like, is he a vegan or something? What's going on with this guy? But one thing, that's all speculation, right? But one thing that is certain, that is fact, since he's been in AEW, we have seen this man be more on the sidelines. That there's enough cause and pause for concern. So I'm not sure what this. Y'all would have to catch me up to speed. I don't know what's going on with this man, but whatever is going on, seriously, speedy recovery to him. MJF winning the men's casino gauntlet for a future AEW World Championship match. I don't really have an issue with that. I kind of expected that, since MJF had aligned himself with the Hurt Business, so I couldn't quite picture anybody else winning that casino gauntlet. So that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. The Ops and Samoa Joe defeated Death Riders Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Gabe Kidd trios match for the AEW Trios Championships. Now, Samoa Joe, not really sure what's going on with Samoa Joe, but apparently he got stretchered out of the ring to pretty much open up All In. So I don't know what's going on with that. I actually am trying to see if I can find more information for you all here. If y'all can just bear with me a quick. I don't know what's going on in here, but as of late, I've been coming across a lot of weird websites that's been trying to get me to sign in using Microsoft Outlook or whatever. Really, really weird. But anyway, the finish for the match, for anybody that's curious, had saw Samoa Joe hit the Muscle Buster on Yuta for the victory. And then, afterwards, Death Riders, they end up attacking the Ops, singled out Samoa Joe as their target. Death Riders ended up wrapping a chair around Joe's neck and his head. Claudio stomped on it, and that pretty much left Joe motionless. So you're hearing all that, you're going, oh, okay, so it's kind of part of the storyline. It's looking like here. Yeah, so it's possible that Joe may be disappearing for a hot little bit. Who knows? Maybe he's got to film some stuff, and maybe he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Who knows? But that's pretty much that in a nutshell. See, I think beyond that, I'm just trying to go through. There's some other matches here. Yeah, that had opened up the actual All In pay per view. Your pre show matches, did not see any of these. I actually was spending. I began Friday night for like about an hour, and then the fact that it got dark rather quickly, I had to resume it pretty much the next day. And when I resumed it the next day, it actually took me a little bit more time than I anticipated. I was actually busy putting a new side mirror as a replacement for my wife's car. Somehow she overestimated some turn she was trying to do at her parking garage, and she just demolished the fuck out of her side mirror. And it was just like, whoa. And so, yeah, I finally had got the part because I was waiting for the part to come. And shipping was fast. Shipping was very fast once they finally shipped it out. And so I was busy Friday night going into Saturday. And it didn't help that wifey had was on a conference call that should have lasted an hour. I say all that as a preface to basically say I wasn't able to watch 0 hour, unfortunately, because I went in with the intention of watching every single match. If there was ever a house, it would be the Sanders household where we had a big TV, we had a phone, and we had a tablet, and all of those things was on some type of wrestling. I bullshit you not. Big Boom, AJ and the conglomeration defeated the Don Callis family. 8-man tag match, 12 minutes, 45 seconds. And the Sons of Texas defeated Shane Taylor Promotions. 8-man tag match. FTR, Cash, Dax defeated the Outrunners. Tag match, 16 minutes, 10 seconds. So I can't really comment on those dark matches. But as far as AEW All In itself, quite a, honestly, overall, pretty enjoyable card. I mean, you could tell that they really, great turnout too from the AEW fans. Great turnout there. Love seeing those wide angle shots. A lot of seats filled up for this event. So that was really, really good. I can't wait to hear the official capacity number, how the live gate was, how the pay-per-view numbers were, and all that. Hopefully we'll have at least some type of preliminary numbers by the time we get to the post show. I would imagine Tony Khan probably had a little bit of information that he likely shared during the media scrum. You could definitely make an argument, this was overkill, but you had some pretty solid quality for this event overall. I found it to be quite enjoyable. Definitely to the point. Anytime you can make me go even way before going into the main event match, anytime you can have me go, okay, I think I want to watch AEW programming for sure this coming week. I want to see what happens with this. I want to see what's going to happen with that. I want to see, like, that's a good thing. That's actually a very, very good thing. So, yeah, I like that. I like that. That's what's up. I want to see what you guys had to say about AEW All In. So I definitely want to see how you guys have voted on that one. We'll do the Twitter poll first. I'll poke my head in there and see how you guys are looking at that. Let's see. 8 hours, but you got your money's worth. I'm just reminiscing about 8 hours, but you did get your money's worth. Definitely, without a shadow of doubt, some matches could have and should have been trimmed. Without a shadow of doubt. Without a shadow of doubt. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's go to Twitter first. See how you guys have voted over there. Survey says I'm still looking for it. There we go. 24% of you are giving All In a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 76% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Appreciate you all. And let's see how things are looking on YouTube at the RCWR show. Oh, split tie. Wait. No, that's for Saturday night's main event. Hang on. There we go. 17% of you are giving All In a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 83% of you are giving the event a thumbs up. I appreciate everybody that had cast their votes for those respective shows. I said I wanted to try to go for 90 minutes, and we definitely went over that. Yeah, we went over that. But you know what? I don't mind the fact that we basically did like almost a 2 hour and a half show. It's going to be fun editing this in post-production because I'm thinking about sweepers and transitions and stuff that I want to incorporate when we get ready to, so I know for our audio listeners, y'all are going to love how I do this and everything. I'll try to get a head start on it right now as soon as we end the stream, and I'll try to make sure that it's uploaded first thing. I'll try to make sure it's uploaded first thing early morning, afternoon, so you guys can, get your fixins and all that, and that'll wet your noodle a little bit going into enjoying your Sunday. As far as quick programming notes go, well, look, we're going to be right back here Sunday night as soon as WWE's Evolution PLE wraps up. So if you're like me, you love women's wrestling, you've been supporting women's wrestling for many years, I definitely welcome you all. I'm letting you know this right now. Do not come into the chats talking about men. Do not come in there talking about, wonder if Randy Orton, do you think Roman Reigns, and I'm not making fun of you guys. I'm letting you know. All we're talking is evolution. We're talking women's wrestling. So if it's not related to women's wrestling, and by women's wrestling, I don't want somebody going, hey, Lee, what do you think about the fact that Kalani Jordan is dating so-and-so? No. We're not doing that. If you want to go, hey, I was checking out this female name, blah, 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 what do you think about her in WWE? You think that might happen? I'll answer a question like that for sure. But Sunday, it's all about giving these women their respective flowers. I'm very, very excited to see that second Evolution card. It's a damn shame that we've waited, we've had to wait as fans this long to see another event, and hopefully it won't take as long again and everything. Way that card is looking right now. We got 7 matches, by the way. We got JC Jane defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jordan Grace. Meanwhile, Io Sky defends the Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley. The Judgment Day's Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez defend their tag titles in a fatal 4-way against Sol Ruka and Zarya. Reunited Kabuki Warriors and Charlotte Flair with Alexa Bliss. Let's not also forget we got the participants in the Battle Royale for a World Championship match at Clash in Paris. And as far as the participants go for that one, announced participants, we have Stephanie Vakir, Ivy Now, Nia Jax, Nikki Bella, Natalia, Maxine Dupree, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, Lola Vice, Lash Legend, Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley, Zelina Vega, Julia, Candice LeRae, B-Fab, Mishan, Chelsea Green, Piper Nevin, Alba Fire. Tiffany Stratton defends the Women's Championship against Trish Stratus. Meanwhile, Jade Cargill takes on Naomi, no-holds-barred match with Bianca Belair as the special guest referee. And potentially for your main event match, Becky Lynch defends the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, again in a triple threat match. Looking forward to that card. Will be taking place also in Atlanta, Georgia at the State Farm Arena. So going to be much like with what we got with Saturday night's main event. So should be a fantastic night. I'm really legit. I'm looking forward to it. So hope you join me for that post show. Otherwise, your next edition of the RCWR show will be on Monday night, June the 14th, 2025. We'll be on live all throughout social media, including YouTube, as soon as Raw on Netflix wraps up. We'll talk some Raw. We'll go a little bit all over the place on there. So join me for that one. Meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Just search the RCWR show. Get at me on social media as well on many outlets. Use those same keywords. Make sure you show the YouTube channel some love. I've been uploading a lot more content on there. So if you haven't subscribed, do so. Hit the likes, all that. It helps with the algorithm big time, especially as far as suggestions goes. For those of you that have been subscribing and interacting on the content, appreciate that. There's a couple of new foodie reviews that's up on there. I did a 3-minute review for the new Superman movie, for those that maybe want to hear my thoughts. And yeah, we're always uploading new content, especially as far as shorts, YouTube shorts goes. Check it out. Good stuff. I promise you won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed. I promise. I promise you. Until next go round, my pretty babies. Wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. For those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads, make sure if you haven't done so already, you sound off. Let me know your thoughts about all the wrestling events that we've got thus far. Catch y'all for the Evolution post show and or our Raw post show on Monday. Take care, y'all, and peace.